It's the end of winter, and my favourite light in Melbourne is the winter light. In the cool air, you get these beautiful hazy effects. The winter light is low on the horizons. It comes down different streets at different angles because the light's coming from the north instead of the south. The winter light is my favourite light in Melbourne. And we are now just moving into the spring light, and we're about to lose those really cool, crisp mornings. And already I can see things shifting. The light's starting to get a bit more harsh and a bit higher in the sky and feels a little bit more like summer. But before that happened, I did manage to get out and enjoy some of the winter light here on the streets of Melbourne. And these photographs, they're taken from where I live. They're literally the streets that I walk every day. When I step out of my apartment in Collins Street, there's a tram stop right out there. And in the mornings, the light just floods down that street. It's really, really beautiful. And at the moment, the trees have lost all their leaves from winter and they're just about to rebud. You just get light, so much light. And this is what I love about black and white photography. Black and white reduces all your compositions to light. I like using the black and white preview whenever I shoot. Colour can be distracting. Colour can take you in the wrong direction. You're focusing on the wrong thing sometimes. And black and white preview, setting up your colour profile on the camera so that it's giving you black and white to begin with. You can take that raw file and you can choose whether you want that to be colour or black and white later. But I want to see it when I'm out there on the street and I'm capturing and I look at the back of the screen and I want to see that black and white rendition. It's dialing me into where the shadows are and where the highlights are and what's the contrast. Is it harsh? Is it gentle? Is there tones there that I can work with? I love shooting in black and white. And over the years, I've become a little bit accustomed to it. It's my go-to place. I like seeing the world in black and white. In the same way that when I travel to the Arctic and everything's covered in snow, and snow makes the landscape so much more beautiful. The Arctic in summer is green and it's kind of boring. I don't like it as much. When everything is covered in white snow, I really, really like that a lot. And black and white is sort of doing that same trick. It's hiding a bunch of stuff that I don't want to see. It's hiding colours that aren't rich and aren't powerful. And I love shooting back into the light. I love having the sun in my shots. Indeed, if it's a cloudy day and the sun is not streaming down a street somewhere, I find it very hard to get interested. It's hard enough to leave the comfort of my home anyway. And if the sun's not out, if the sun's not giving me some love, then I'm not going to be out there shooting. So many of the shots that I'm taking, it's because I'm working what the sun's doing. It's coming straight at me. It's in the frame somewhere. One of the hardest things for me is to photograph other people, strangers, where you don't have permission. I mean, you have the right to photograph. There's a law about that, but you don't necessarily have a connection. You are imposing yourself on complete strangers when you point a lens at them. A lot of the street photography that I admire is stuff that I don't really feel comfortable doing myself. Taking photographs of people without their permission is just not something I do as a rule. It's something I've trained myself out of, essentially. It's not how I do my travel photography. I always want to have permission from my subject. I feel that in general, my street photography lacks intimacy. It's not as intimate, it's not as connected. I'm not putting myself in the middle of a protest. I'm not talking with people and getting their story and putting that onto the camera. I am working with shadows and light. I'm not telling people's stories. I spent all this time going out in the early mornings and looking for where the light and shadows were playing around my city, and oftentimes what I really enjoyed was just the clouds. The clouds were often more interesting than the city to me. The clouds are just constantly changing. They're never staying the same. That movement, any image you capture of a cloud is one of a kind. It will never happen again. That particular arrangement of air and moisture in the sky, these floating sets of water are just drifting over the city, catching the sunlight. It's kind of wild. When I moved to downtown Melbourne and this became my home, I had all these visions that I was going to go out and shoot all the time. I was going to capture my part of Melbourne, and it was right outside my doorstep, so what could be easier? And that's kind of not what's happened over the years. I've been here for over a decade now in the city, and I hardly ever go and shoot my own city. And the only reason this has happened recently is because I had to road test a new lens by Sigma. Not a lens I would normally use. It's not a wildlife lens. It's not a compact urban street lens. It's a mid-range zoom, and I don't typically shoot with zooms, and I don't typically shoot mid-range. This zoom does 28 to 105 and it's f2.8 right the way through. It is unbelievably sharp. It is a beautiful, bright, contrasty lens, and it's just not something that I would normally use. I wanted to explore my neighborhood with this new lens. One of the joys of working in black and white is that you can let go of being perfect. You can embrace the rough edges. And I think that's one of the reasons I enjoyed photographing this series so much, is that it's the rough edges. If you'd like to see more of my photos, please pop across to ewenbell.com. My website has a blog with lots of useful articles and information and lots of photo essays. Many of them are in black and white as well. And I would love to hear from you as to what makes black and white a special creative zone for you as well. Have a great day.